Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Jai Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Radha Madan Mohan, Radha Madan Mohan, Radha Madan Mohan, Jai Radhe. Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai. Jai Jagannath Swami, Jai Jagannath, Jai Baladeva, Jai Subhadra. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai, Shri Radha Madan Mohan ki jai, Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani ki jai, Shri Lakshmi Nusum Bhakta Prahlad Maharaj ki jai, Vrindadev Tulasi Maharani ki jai, Yugadharma Harinam Sankirtan Yajna ki jai, Vrindavan Madhura Dham ki jai, Navdeep Mayapur Dham ki jai, Purushottam Kshetra Jagannathpuri Dham ki jai, Srila Prabhupada Transcendental Book Distribution ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namane. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayed Nasta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki. So today we will be discussing from 4th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 22, entitled Prithu Maharaja's meeting with the 4 Kumaras. Verse number 28. Atmanam indriyardham cha. Atmanam indriyardham cha. Param yad ubayorapi. Satyasaya upadhau vai. Satyasaya upadhau vai. Puman pasyati nanyada. Puman pasyati nanyada. Atmanam indriyardham cha. Param yad ubhayorapi. Satyasaya upadhau vai. Puman pasyati nanyada. Atmanam indriyardham cha. Param ubhayorapi. Satyasaya. Puman pasyati nanyada. Atmanam indriyardham cha. Param yadubhayorapi. Satyasaya upadhau vai. Puman pasyati nanyada. Atmanam indriyardham cha. Param yad ubhayorapi. Satyasaya upadhau vai. Puman pasyati nanyada. Atmanam, the soul. Indriyardham, for sense gratification. Cha, and param, transcendental. Yet, that. Ubhayo, both. Api, certainly. Sati, being situated. Asaye, material desires. Upadhau, designation. Vai, certainly. Puman, the person. Pashyati, sees. Na anyada, not otherwise. Translation. When the soul exists for sense gratification, he creates different desires. And for that reason, he becomes subjected to designations. But when one is in the transcendental position, he is no longer interested in anything except fulfilling the desires of the Lord. Please repeat. When the soul exists for sense gratification, he creates different desires. And for that reason, he becomes subjected to designations. But when one is in the transcendental position, he is no longer interested in anything except fulfilling the desires of the Lord. Purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada. Being covered by material desires, a spirit soul is also considered to be covered by designations belonging to a particular type of body. Thus, he considers himself an animal, man, demigod, bird, beast, etc. In so many ways, he is influenced by false identification caused by false egotism. And being covered by illusory material desires, he distinguishes between matter and spirit. When one is devoid of such distinctions, there is no longer a difference between matter and spirit. At that time, The spirit is the only predominating factor. As long as one is covered by material desires, he thinks himself the master or the enjoyer. Thus, he acts for sense gratification and becomes subjected to material pangs, happiness, and distress. But when one is freed from such a concept of life, he is no longer subjected to designations and he envisions everything as spiritual in connection with the Supreme Lord. This is explained by Srila Rupa Goswami in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.2.255. Anasaktasya vishayan yatharham upayunjataha nirbandha Krishna sambandhe yuktam vairagyam uchyate. The liberated person has no attachment for anything material or for sense gratification. He understands that everything is connected with the Supreme Personality of Godhead and that everything should be engaged in the service of the Lord. Therefore, he doesn't give up anything. There is no question of renouncing anything because the Paramahamsa knows how to engage everything in the service of the Lord. Originally, everything is spiritual, nothing is material. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela, chapter 8, 274. Also, it is explained that a Mahabhagavata, a highly advanced devotee, has no material vision. Sthavara jangama dekhe, na dekhe taramurti, sarvatra hai nija ishta deva spurti. Although he sees trees, mountains, and other living entities moving here and there, he sees all as the creation of the Supreme Lord. And with reference to the context, sees only the creator and not the created. In other words, he no longer distinguishes between the created and the creator. He sees only the Supreme Personality of Godhead in everything. He sees Krishna in everything and everything in Krishna. This is oneness. Om Ajnanatimrandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. So, these are very, very wonderful gems from the Kumara brothers, 4 Kumaras. In this chapter, 4 Kumaras, Sanaka, Sanatana, Sanandana, Sanat Kumaras, right? These 4 Kumaras, they are very, very saintly persons. They best use their whatever Srila Rupa Goswami said in this purport. Srila Prabhupada referred. Paramahamsa knows how to engage everything in the service of the Lord. Everything. Why one has to engage everything in the service of the Lord? Because everything is given by Lord. Sometimes some people say that God has given for our enjoyment or for our satisfaction. Otherwise, why God has given everything? So this is a poor logic lacking love. Lacking love. Like when a child is given everything by parents. But when the child grows, then still, if he demands from parents, Father, you give me this, or Mother, you do that to me, I'll simply enjoy my life. Then that's not the happy life. It will never be happy. It will never be happy because it's called sense gratification. What is sense gratification? Engaging our senses anything other than Krishna, anything other than Krishna. Or, in other words, engaging senses, each sense has its counterpart object, like eyes to see vision, or skin to touch, ears to hear nice rhythmic, melodious things. So, like the tongue tasting, scolding others, chanting the holy name. Different objects are there for tongue. So, engaging the senses in the sense objects other than in relation to Krishna is called sense gratification. Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan ki jai. Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani ki jai. All problems are rooted to this one thing, that is sense gratification. And Prabhupada here mentioning that the sense gratification, another name is material desires. So these material desires originally, if you try to understand the stages or steps, the souls going away from Krishna. In 5th canto, this is the 4th canto. So in 5th canto, it was mentioned that this material world is like a forest. What is the nature of forest? The nature of forest is, if we enter into the forest, number one, we lose the direction. Direction loss will happen. And number two, we will be trapped. We will be trapped. We cannot come out of forest very easily. We are talking about the very thick, old age forests. They are very dense, not the forest today. Today forests are very sparse. We can even see the other side also, maybe, probably. The forest, because they're chopping the trees just like anything. Like anything, without understanding the benefits that they are doing for us. So we are talking about dense forest. The Bhagavatam is talking about dense forests. So the direction loss will happen, and we cannot come out of it very easily. So that forest is compared, or the trees are compared to the material desire. Usually, the people who enter into the forest, they enter with the one reason, that is to gain something out of forest. We are talking about a typical dwellers nearby forests with one desire, right? Just to get what is available in the forest, to collect them and then use them, sell it into the market, and then gain money. So with that one desire, there's a high possibility, sometimes some ferocious animals will come, they try to attack, and in pursuit of protecting from them, they may lose direction. So the forest life, entering into the forest is compared to entering into the material world, or being in material world with a motive of at least one single material desire. The material desire, the nature of material desire is it just multiplies, just like bacteria. When bacteria gets the sufficient food, what it does? It multiplies. It becomes 2, becomes 4, exponential after that. Right? Similarly, the nature of material desire is also like that. Originally one desire. It appears that material desire may not create any problem to us. It appears like that. But with that one material desire, when it is multiplied, then those things will begin disturbing a lot. Just like with one desire entering into the forest. One desire. So this is the nature of material desires, multiplying. So what to do? curb it or don't act on it? Well, actually, many people say to me, Prabhu, I'm trying to control senses, I'm trying to control desires, but they keep on coming to me, what to do? Oh, I didn't become devotee. I didn't become devotee. So when that day will come in my life where I don't feel that, the material desires entering or desiring material desires, when that day will come in my life. So for that, Krishna is answering in second chapter of Bhagavad Gita that, in 71, I think, or 70, in second chapter, Apuryamana machala pratishtham samudramapa pravisanti yadvad tadvat kamayam pravisanti sarve sasanti mapnoti nakamakami. Says that, Krishna says that, just like the ocean, which is always fixed, no matter how much quantity of water enters through rivers, the ocean will be steady, no matter. Apuryamana achala. Achala, the ocean doesn't waver. Apuryamana achala pratishtham. Samudramapa pravishanti yadvat. So always, right? I mean, when Krishna speaks this hope, the rivers, are, full and flow always. But now it's not very, very dry bed. So much spoiling is happening to nature and the very vitality of the human energy. So similarly, Krishna says that there are many, many material desires, will flow inside our heart. So what Krishna is suggesting, don't act on them. They may come, neglect it. They may come, neglect it. Once maybe you may pay attention, okay, leave it. Okay, I understood this material desire is there, leave it. So don't act on it means one should not act or try to pursue them. That's what it means. That's what it means. It means don't take any steps to fulfill that. Then why people fulfill that? Try to fulfill with the misunderstanding that fulfilling the material desires will give happiness. So with that understanding, they try to fulfill. But the nature of material desire is when it is fulfilled, immediately one more will pop up. One more will pop up. When, it's like setting goal. Many goals, particularly, in software companies, they say business goals, right? Business goals. I observed very much in my office. They set, business goals, monthly business goals or something like that, or quarterly. And then when we try very hard to achieve, and after that they say that, okay, now goal is now, they increase the goal. So then they increase the goal, and then they increase the goal. So the nature, so this is like that. See, when we achieve the goal or when we, reach the goal, immediately we make something else as a goal. That is in nature of ours. That is nature of us. I mean to say, it's a nature of conditioned soul. Why it is? Because originally we belong to Krishna. So till we reach Krishna, whatever we set as an intermediary goal and reach it, immediately that goal disappears and appears one more goal, little far. It's unavoidable for anyone in this world is unavoidable. The reason is we are originally belong to Krishna. So just like it's compared to mirage, right? You must have heard this example, a deer walking, right? So it's just like that. Material desires. So, yeah, okay. So then what is the remedy for that? The remedy for that is, not to act on them, don't pursue them. If they come, neglect. And then the positive thing, actively cultivate the, the desires which are related to services to Krishna. So if we think in that sense, how much, what to say, how much happy we should be, how much grateful we should be to Srila Prabhupada, who has created so many wonderful things in our lives to serve Lord Krishna. N number of ways he created. But if one doesn't act on those in a service mode, then what will happen? Then the designations will arise. The designations. What are the designations? Designation means, in Sanskrit, they are called vritti. Vritti means we identify something that we have and then we continue acting on that, or whatever it is, skill set or the assets we have. Like for example, if we have money, then our designation is rich person, right? If we have some skill, we are designated after that skill, whatever the skill is, a potterer or doctor, whatever it is. So all those things are related to this body only. Why? Because at the time of death, we will be separated from the body. So after separation and after getting another body, then who are we? Again, depends on the next life's skill set. I mean, I'm saying partially skill set, but here, Prabhupada is saying set of material desires. In other words, the material desire generates a material body instantaneously. In Nectar of Devotion, Rupa Goswami says that the original spiritual body of, in general, he said, the original material body of a soul is that very same thing, whatever looks with a spiritual body, and immediately when a material is with the contamination of this material world, when one develops the material body, instantaneously the spiritual body turns to material body with exact likeness. Exact likeness. Suppose if the spiritual body is a deer, and then the first material body is deer. The moment the deer, then the Swarupa Siddhi, I mean to say, is a deer, the moment the material desire is developed, immediately that the spiritual body of deer is transformed into material body of deer. So, upadhi. So we develop upadhi. So to come out of that, and then they start experiencing the death. Who? When at the moment the spiritual body is covered and generated a material body exactly with the likeness, then immediately they start experiencing death, they start experiencing fear, they start experiencing hunger. There's hunger in the sense of material context, not from the spiritual context of hunger where like the gopas feel hunger, not that kind of hunger, the materialistic way of hunger. They start feeling hunger, the soul start feeling hunger, and then all ahara nidra bhaya will manifest in that body. And then slowly, the entrapment will begin, the karma will begin. This is a very big question. Sometimes people ask, I believe karma, that's true, but when it began? This is a important question. When it began? Because animals don't have karma. So when it began at that moment when one feels, that impetus to enjoy. just the way Krishna is enjoying, by keeping oneself in the center. But that arises with the contamination of the matter, or when one comes in contact with the matter. So, and then the very first body, then death experiences, and then the transmigration of soul begins. Transmigration of the soul. So then what is the antidote for this then? So Narada Muni reverses the process. What he says, Sarvobhadi vinirmuktam tat paratvena nirmalam Hrishikena Hrishikesha sevanam bhaktir uchyate. Narada Muni is very expert in reversing the things. Not reversing, against to something. Reversing to the materialistic way of doing. He is very expert in converting anything into spiritual. Anything into spiritual. So he says that Sarva Upadhi Vinurmuktam. So you have to first stop thinking that, on the basis of designations. Oh, I'm a woman. Oh, I'm a man. Oh, I'm a child. Oh, I'm a parent. I'm a, other designations of office. First, stop thinking that. The root thinking must be that first, I'm the servant of Lord Krishna. Then only anything else. Then only anything else. Then all wonderful things about devotion will again begin manifesting in our life. The things which we lost at the original moment, they will begin manifesting in our life. And that's what Lord Chaitanya also said. Naham Vipra, in that verse. Who am I? I'm not Brahmana, I'm not Kshatriya, I'm not Shudra, I'm not Vaishya, I'm not this, I'm not that. Who am I? I'm the servant of. Gopi Bhartru Padakamalayur Dasa Dasa Anudasa. I'm the servant of everyone. Srila Prabhupada explains this with the one very wonderful analogy that we have to tie the horse in front of the cart. Then the cart moves. If you tie the horse behind the cart, we have to pull the cart and we have to take the horse also. So it's a double work. It's a very heavy work. So what is the horse? What is the horse here? Designation. We have, giving up designation. The original designation is servant of Krishna. That we should keep in the forefront. Then that moves everything. Just like horse moves everything if we keep horse friend. So the desire that we are servant of the Lord, that moves. That moves everything. That sets perfectly everything. And one more thing here. Not this, yeah. He is no longer interested in anything except fulfilling the desires of the Lord. Yeah. So then what happens with that service mood? Then whatever the required intelligence will come. Required intelligence in terms of anything, in terms of preaching, in terms of our own convictions, and in terms of service, in terms of respect, everything will come. Everything will come. The wonderful example, I like this example very, very much. Very much. How a Vaishnava will think to, in loving Krishna. Very wonderful example. During the Kurukshetra war, after Bhima took a vow to kill all Kauravas because of they disrespected Draupadi. So, out of his Kshatriya spirit, he took a vow in the Sabha that I'll kill every Kaurava. He said like that. So he started killing. In one day he killed something like 19, in another day 40. So like that he killed all 100 Kauravas. And then war was over. And when war was over, the news till that, so at some particular point of time, Dhritarashtra knew only the 99 were dead. Still, Duryodhana was alive. So he was at that time. So then he said that, okay, let's go to the river and offer whatever the Shraddha rituals, offering waters and everything to do. So they came to the river. And then he took the other widows who are wailing and crying. He asked particularly to accompany them, just to invoke the negative feelings on Pandavas among everyone. He's very expert. Dhritarashtra is very, very expert how to create the negative feelings. So, and he accompanied Gandhari also. So they came to the river, and then so their Vyasadeva also came. And Vyasadeva, he is Trigalagna, right? He understands everyone's heart just like that. So he understood Gandhari must be thinking something negatively. So he came to Gandhari and that river bank. He came to Gandhari and then he said, "Oh chaste lady, don't harbor any ill feelings on anyone. Do you remember when Duryodhana came to you? You blessed him saying that Satyam will definitely win over Adharma. Did you remember that?" Then Gandhari was reminded how she blessed Duryodhana. So the blessings worked actually. Those blessings worked. So don't harbor ill feelings to anyone, particularly Pandavas. If you try to, don't try to curse Pandavas. So when he was speaking, the Pandavas were coming after the war. And then Vyasadeva moved aside and Pandavas came to Dhritarashtra first. And then some incidents happened. And after that, knowing that Gandhari will definitely curse Pandavas, Dhritarashtra said that you go to Gandhari and take her blessings. Because Pandavas were offering obeisances to Dhritarashtra even at that time. Just imagine the wonderful qualities of Pandavas. How much they wanted to respectful to Dhritarashtra. So much. So much. In fact, during the beginning of the gambling match, Vidura says that, or maybe in between, Vidura says that, see, they obey anyway. Why you have to, covet their property? They are very obedient. If you just say that, Yudhishthira, don't become king. That's it. He will leave everything. Such an obedient person. Why you want to involve him in this gambling? Don't do that. Be like, Vidura says that, be like, don't chop off the tree, but take the flowers and fruits of the tree every day. That's the intelligence. Even if you allow him to rule, he will pay tribute to you. If you allow him to rule, king will get tributes, right? Or taxes. And he will bring the taxes and put at your feet. So it's like getting flowers every day, or fruits every day, at seasons. Don't do this. But Duryodhana did not understand. Dhritarashtra did not understand. So when they went to Gandhari, Gandhari then, started one by one when they are introducing the, because Gandhari tied, the cloth, right? So Pandavas, they are introducing one by one. I am Yudhishthira, and so I am so and so. So then Gandhari started, again in the mind, thinking what Vyasa said, but again, when Bhima came, actually she started, what to say, thinking to curse Yudhishthira. But when Vyasadeva, the words, coming to her mind, so She did a little harm to Yudhishthira. And then when Bhima came, and then she started outbursting, crying and everything. And then she said that, why Bhima, you didn't leave even one son? Now where we have to take shelter, where we have to go? And then Bhima said that, see, I took a Kshatriya vow to kill all Kauravas in war. What can I do? I have to fulfill my desire. Any sane person will fulfill what they promised. So there's no way. Then why you kill, this is important, but that's what I'm coming. The love of Bhima to Krishna, that's the point, right? We're discussing. So then she asked that, then why you killed the way you killed Bhima? Duryodhana. Why you kill like that? Because he hit on the thigh, right? As per rules, one should not beat below the navel in fighting. So then why you did like that? But actually Bhima did that. Although Bhima promised that, to smash the thighs of Duryodhana, but he doesn't want to do that during the war time, during the mutual fighting time. He doesn't want to do that. But Krishna said to do that. Krishna indicated to do that. But if Bhima says that, no, nothing, I didn't do anything like that, but Krishna told me to do that. So I did this. If he says like that, what will happen then about Krishna in the eyes of Gandhari? It's a negative, right? So, but what Krishna said, is it wrong then? It's not wrong. Krishna can violate any rule because he is the creator of the rule. Sometimes people criticize Krishna. No, he moved with girls of others' wives and others. So how he is God then? Immoral. But that's immorality to mundane beings. But the immorality for God, if everything is created by God, if everything is own property of the God, if he is enjoying his own property, what's wrong with that? You are earning so much money. Are you not enjoyer of your earnings? If anyone says that you are not enjoyer of your earnings, what do you say? Come on, it's my own money. I can enjoy in whichever way I want. Who are you to say? Similarly, Krishna says, who are you to say? It's my property, my soul, so my matter, my body and mine. And I am enjoying my property. What's wrong with you? In fact, you are the wrong. You are enjoying my property. Krishna completely reverses the logic because he is the ultimate logician. He is the ultimate logician. So if Bhima says that, no, Krishna told me, so I did, then Gandhari will lose even the minimum respect, whatever she has on Krishna. So knowing that, he didn't say that. So he said that, oh lady, you know very well the way to kill, the only one way to kill Duryodhana, you know very well. You know very well. That's the only way to kill. Now if I don't use in that way to kill Duryodhana, he is going and hiding at some place. So Yudhishthira cannot become king. Unless we kill Duryodhana, Yudhishthira cannot become king. So knowing that, to create more troubles, he went and hid at some place. So they had to call back and then, kill the bear. So that's the loving nature of devotee. He always praises the Lord. Praise the Lord is a caption, right? Praise the Lord. This is the praise. This is a praise. The way Bhima proclaimed or at least protected whatever the faith that Gandhari has on Krishna. But unfortunately, Gandhari diverted the anger towards Krishna. What is the diversion? This is one more thing, fulfilling the desires of the Lord. So that's the point I'm addressing. So Gandhari, then Gandhari is satisfied with that. But then she diverted the anger towards Krishna. So this is a typical conditioned soul's nature. What is that? Somehow or the other, the anger of their own anger, they direct it on others, particularly the partner, life's partner. This is a very common thing. Wherever anger they face, they immediately, divert their anger on either husband or wife. Now, if someone is not available, then they divert anger on animals. Otherwise, they divert anger on, XYZ. XYZ. If no one is available, then they divert anger on God. And they say that God, why did you do this? Why did you do this to me? Come on. If God wants to do something else, can you survive? Just think about it. The all-powerful person, he can do whatever he wants. If he wants to suppress or oppress or, compress, whatever you call it, if he wants to do, can we survive? It's the other way around. It's because God is showing compassion, we are able to survive. Even the way we are surviving. Because God is forgiving us, so we are, having at least experiencing a little bit happiness in our life. If God doesn't forgive us for the reason that we left Him, and if He doesn't create the material world, just think about it. We have material desires. Having material desires, if God doesn't create a material world, what will happen to us? It's just like tying a son who's having an ambitions, and then locking up that person into a room. How it will be? How much painful for that soul? So out of forgiving nature, the parent may allow sometimes. Similarly, God also is like that. So then, what is the so then Gandhari diverted the anger towards God. But God is the most loving person at all. If at all, if you want to understand anyone's love, best we try to understand the God's love first. That's the best thing to understand. Of course, that comes through the devotees only. We can understand that through the agency of His loving people, the Lord's loving devotees. So then, now finally, to conclude, the fulfilling the desires of the Lord. So, one misunderstanding is the God's plan or why God did this, right? That's a misunderstanding. God will not do in our life anything opposite or anything which give us problems. Do we give something which gives problems to our children? Anyone try like that? They don't try. But very mysteriously they think God will always do something which gives me trouble. People think like that. It's a very, very mystery. Very, very mystery. So, He's the best loving person. But then, how to understand the God's desires, the God's plan? How to understand? The best thing is one should begin to understand what God is by avoiding sense gratification. This is so crucial, so crucial. If we fail here, it may take longer time, that's okay. But we may not be able to understand actually what God is. It becomes very troublesome, very, very troublesome. If we don't give up whatever we have to give up according to Shastra, the material things or materialistic way of things. He's the most loving person. See, one of the mispropaganda that was done so much, I heard many times during my childhood times, the root is, the misunderstandings of Dhritarashtra and Gandhari. They thought that it's a Krishna's plan. The war is Krishna's plans, and how can I avoid? I cannot avoid it. So I don't want to control my son. Because it's a Lord's plan. It's a Lord's plan. Well, war may be Lord's plan, but why Lord planned like that? Did you think that or not? Why Lord has to plan in that way? The Lord has to plan in that way. The original plan of the Lord is to, to rectify our heart and come to the happy position by beginning serving Him. That's the Lord's original plan. If any soul doesn't accept that, then the Lord changes the plan and then execute the plan B or plan C, whatever you call it. Because plan A will always fail, sure, because we don't accept Krishna so easily. That's okay. I mean, in a sense, accepting Krishna with intelligence, that's the only nice thing. Out of sentiment, if one accepts Krishna, he will not move forward much in devotion. Move forward much. So, the Lord's original plan is to rectify all the fallen souls. Now he is trying that when he was personally, of course, when he was absent also, he tried that. So what is that? Rectifying the Kauravas, rectifying all the, the impious kings, the kings who are disturbing the society, to rectify them. But when they chose not to be rectified, then what to do? Somehow or the other, they have to bring to the right path. So that's why then war is required. Otherwise, war is not required at all. It's not at all required. In fact, before the war, we know that he went to envoy, right? Peace envoy, Lord Krishna. As a messenger, he went, right? So he tried a lot, actually. He tried. And finally, then he had one plan to avoid the war. He thought of Karna. And then he sent a message to Karna that, tell him that I wanted to meet him personally. He made, so and so place, so and so time, so and so day. And then Karna waited at that time alone. And Krishna, after failing the peace truce, when he was returning to Virata's kingdom, he met Karna on the way. Alone he met. And then he said, oh Karna, I wanted to tell you some secret of your life. You are the son of Kunti. And don't hesitate. Now Kunti will accept you as her eldest son. And you accept the position as eldest son. You will become the king. Thus, let us avoid the war altogether. Because if Yudhishthira knows that you are the first son, Yudhishthira will happily give up everything and become subordinate to you. He said that. He becomes subordinate to you. So, isn't it Lord's plan then to avoid the war? It's definitely. So then what is the original plan? The original plan is to rectify everybody's heart. Thus, he wanted everyone to be happy. But the way that happiness will come to one's life is only by making subordinate to the Supreme Lord. That's our original nature. That's our original nature. Just like the nature of the body is, when it's in a proper position, it's healthy and we feel happy. Hare Krishna. It's a 9:10 already. Any comments, or otherwise we'll end? Comment or questions? Yes, bro. Krishna Chaitanya, right? Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Proji, very wonderfully you have explained about how Lord's plan is always upon the devotees. My question is, Proji, we know after coming to Krishna consciousness, we have come to the point of taking shelter of Guru, and we have great respect for Guru and Krishna.
Yeah.
And we don't blame them. And But
Yeah, we don't blame.
the situation is like sometimes we blame our, colleagues. I mean, in the Krishna consciousness
Okay.
association, like we blame other devotees,
Okay.
we blame the situations, and, and we chant some rounds also, more rounds also, but still the tendency doesn't go away.
Yeah, tendency to blame is there,
Yes.
right?
So how is it like how to
How to avoid that?
avoid that and look upon it? Like, is it
How
right?
not to.
Yeah, how not to go about it?
See, you have something very precious. What do? Do you try to lose it or try to protect it? Try to protect it. And Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, we are all his amsha, right? Part and parcel. So whose property we are? Krishna's property. How much he values his property then? Does he value his property? He values his property. So then how come someone else can create disturbance or harm or steal his property? We are his property. Who can steal us? Who can steal us from him? Who, in other words, who can create disturbance in our life? Why? Do you think Krishna will allow anyone to disturb us? Because we are his property, right? We don't want to allow our property to be disturbed by anyone else. Then why do we think that Krishna will do that? He will never do that. He will never do that. In other words, the disturbances are not because of anyone else. The disturbances is because of, at some point of time, past. I'm not talking about previous lives. I'm talking about even after coming or entering into Krishna consciousness. I'm talking about from that point of time, particularly. The reason that we face problems is because we did not make right choices at some point of time. The result of making those wrong choices is coming as a disturbance in our lives, and others are simply instruments to make us know our disturbances. That's it. So, we have nothing to blame anyone. Nothing to blame anyone. And it is true, if we track back our decision making process, how we took decisions, sure, we will find out some loophole or in a kind of a materialistic way we took the decision, or maybe some component, it will be there. So we don't have to blame the instrument. It means, in other words, that's karma. What's karma? When we take a decision based on ourselves, that's karma, right? It produces, it has a karma generating effect. So we don't have to blame the instrument of our karma. In fact, we have to be grateful. We have to be grateful. This is a very wonderful topic. We'll discuss in some other class. Very, very wonderful topic. There is one wonderful incident in Ramayana on this topic. Never blame the instrument of our karma. So we don't have to blame them. Kayena manasa buddhya kevalayirindriyairapi yogina karma kuruvanti sangam tyakva atma shuddhaye. Yogi means not one who does a meditation or something like that. Does not necessarily mean that. Yogi means anyone who tries to form the connection. Yoga means connection, actually. The literal meaning is connection. Yoga. Viyoga means disconnection. So anyone who tries to form that connection, he has to do everything for one reason. Atma Shuddhaye, just to purify one's own heart. So when we divert our attention towards that, then our life becomes so dynamic, so dynamic. What whatever happens in our life, we can withstand. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. We can withstand. If we follow this Bhagavad Gita verse. Okay. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.